Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Kareem James Abu-Zeid. I am a freelance translator of Arabic, French, and German. Most of the literature I've translated has been Arabic, but today I'll be sharing from a French language project with you, and more specifically, the poetry of Olivia Elias. Let me tell you a little bit about Olivia before I start reading. Olivia was born in Haifa in 1944, and she's a poet of the Palestinian diaspora who writes in French. In 1948, her family was exiled to Lebanon, where she lived until she was 16 years old. And currently, she splits her time between Paris and Arles in France. She published her first collection of poetry in 2015. Her third and most recent collection, Traversée, which translates to Chaos Crossing in English, was published in France in 2019. And that book, Chaos Crossing, has just come out in my English translation with World Poetry Books. It was published on November 15, 2022. Olivia's work has been published in numerous journals and anthologies, and it's been translated into, in addition to English, Arabic, Spanish, Italian, and Japanese. As you'll see, Olivia Elias's poetry is characterized by very terse, laconic language, strong rhythms, and a deep sensitivity to the Palestinian cause, the plight of refugees, and human suffering in general. So, now, without any further ado, I'm going to be reading a few of Olivia's poems. I will begin by reading the first poem in French as well, and then the English translation, and with the others I'll just read the English. So this first poem, again from the book Chaos Crossing, is called The Sea to Drink, La mer à boire. Le monde était une vaste énigme, elle ne le savait pas, et ignorait qu'elle ne le savait pas. Les grands avaient bâillonné les mots, elle s'enfuit donc, il lui restait encore la mer à boire, avant d'atteindre l'autre rive. The sea to drink. The world was a vast enigma, but she didn't know it, and wasn't aware that she didn't know it. The grown-ups had gagged the words, so she escaped. She still had the sea to drink before she could reach the other shore. This next poem is called Sacrifice. And again, I'll just be reading the English from here on out. Sacrifice. Why should I have to pay the price of sacrifice, asks the child of the people of peasants, fedayeen, and merchants, who never dreamed of sleeping away from his home, impervious to the call of the open sea. A life in its own shadow, held at gunpoint by snipers and 20-year-old kids with death as their harness, while the men in sidelocks and the believers in the return of God the Son crucified on the cross go on chanting. This next poem is called Call. Call. 18 years old, the sea for horizon, for so long dreaming of unfurling his foliage, taking stock of his steps, and just as the earth cannot contain the sap each spring, the call keeps growing. 18 years old, the sea for horizon, finally to obey the command, roll the dice, and cross the liquid wall. This next poem is called Barca Nostra, Our Boat. Barca Nostra, 19 December 2019. And I should say that it references the wreckage of a migrant ship that sank in the Mediterranean. Barca Nostra. Their report cards pinned to their chests will not have saved them, pathetic passports barely good enough for paper balls. Loaded dice, error message, this world is not their home, the white border closed to the children of the rusty trawler. The words are absent, only want to pray and bow down before the fallen children in the field of honor of the struggle for a good life. Their report cards pinned to their chests, posthumous decorations, night after night in the Mediterranean Sea, in the middle of a tablecloth of paper funeral flowers, a boat wanders off course and sinks. This world is not their home, forever closed the white border. This next poem is called Mediterranean 1. The promise of the other shore contained in your name grows more distant each day. Your midday is fading before terrain. I've been dolphin in your waters. I recall the sun was at its zenith, and I was running, jumping on the pier. There was only me, the sun at its zenith, me and the blue immensity. A scientific approach. The adieus, goodbyes, see you soons, they're not for me. Don't know what will happen once the gates walked through and closes again. Some were away a few days and never could see the orange trees, their mothers again, suddenly declared aliens on their own land. Some fell asleep and never woke up. Look, for those who were asleep their whole lives, it doesn't make much difference. Better, therefore, to take a scientific approach and remain vigilant. I'll read 2 more poems. This one is called Lightening. Lightening. In the beginning, everything went without saying, just like that. Then it all became so muddled. Today, the complications. It's over now, for me. I no longer have time for the muddy jousting, for all the oaths eternal. Whatever will come, will be. It's well known that appearances are misleading. I don't walk any slower. Quite the contrary. Now that on the way back to childhood, I drop the stones weighing down my pockets one by one, relieved of the fear of losing even myself. Now is the time for lightening. And I'll read one last poem. It's called Such Slow Birth. And it references the Book of the Way and its virtue, which is also known as the Tao Te Ching. Such slow birth. 2 cycles intersect. Cycle of twilight deepening toward the black moon. Cycle of transformations ripening. I opened the Book of the Way and its virtue. To attain complete emptiness is to settle firmly in rest. As a child I had this knowledge, and didn't know how precious it was, handed down by village elders, sitting on their doorsteps, surrounded by beauty they offered, their faces like old cats in the sun. Time now to drag my chair out in front of the door. Thank you very much for listening. And again, the book is Chaos Crossing by Olivia Elias, published by World Poetry Books in November of 2022. Thank you.